The Trial and Death of Socrates is a collection of 4 dialogues written by Plato, Euthyphro, Apology, Crito, and Phaedo. These dialogues recount the events surrounding the trial, conviction, and eventual death of the philosopher Socrates in 399 BCE. In Euthyphro, Socrates encounters a young man named Euthyphro who claims to have a deep understanding of piety. Through their conversation, Socrates challenges Euthyphro's definition of piety, aiming to uncover the true nature of moral virtue. In Apology, Socrates defends himself against charges of impiety and corrupting the youth. He delivers a compelling speech in which he refuses to beg for mercy or renounce his philosophical mission. Socrates maintains his commitment to truth and his belief that his pursuit of knowledge and moral improvement is beneficial to society. Crito portrays Socrates' conversation with his friend Crito, who offers him an opportunity to escape execution. Socrates engages in a discussion about the moral and legal obligations of a citizen, ultimately deciding to accept his sentence and abide by the laws of Athens. Lastly, in Phaedo, Socrates engages in a dialogue with his disciples in his final hours before his execution. The dialogue centers on the immortality of the soul and the philosopher's readiness to face death. Socrates argues that the philosopher should not fear death, as it is the separation of the soul from the body and the liberation of the soul to pursue higher truths. Critique of The Trial and Death of Socrates includes the following points. 1. Socratic method. Plato's portrayal of Socrates relies heavily on the Socratic method, a form of philosophical inquiry involving question and answer dialogue. While some appreciate the method's emphasis on critical thinking and examination of assumptions, others argue that it can be manipulative and overly rhetorical. 2. Biased account. As Plato was a devoted follower of Socrates, critics suggest that his portrayal of Socrates may be idealized and biased. Some argue that Plato presents Socrates as an infallible and heroic figure, potentially neglecting other perspectives or flaws in his philosophy. 3. Historical accuracy. Given that the dialogues were written years after the events they depict, there is debate about their historical accuracy. Some scholars argue that Plato's primary goal was to convey philosophical ideas rather than provide an accurate historical account of Socrates' trial and death. 4. Lack of female voices. One common criticism of Plato's dialogues, including those in this collection, is the absence of female voices. Women are generally marginalized or excluded from the philosophical discussions, limiting the representation and perspectives within the texts. 5. Influence of Plato's philosophy. Some critics argue that the influence of Plato's own philosophical views may overshadow Socrates' original ideas. It can be challenging to distinguish Socrates' authentic beliefs from Plato's own philosophy and interpretations. Despite these critiques, The Trial and Death of Socrates remains a significant work in Western philosophy. It offers insights into Socrates' approach to ethics, his defense of intellectual freedom, and his unwavering commitment to truth, even in the face of death. The dialogues continue to provoke discussions about morality, justice, the nature of the soul, and the role of the philosopher in society.